MMAjunkie Radio pre-show. We're going to be starting the show here in a couple minutes. Gorgeous George is outside. 2 minutes, Danny? Nice.
2 minutes.
The legend Don Frye is in here to induct another legend this weekend. Kazushi Sakuraba, one of my favorite fighters of all time. George is getting Don set up. What's up, Dave? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. Can you get me my phone before Don jizzes all over it?
Yeah. There's that possibility. What do you mean before?
It's pre-show, George.
Huh?
Pre-show. Yeah, go ahead. There should be 2. All right, George, you talk while I adjust the camera a little bit.
All right, so it's good to have Don Frye back in studio, one of the toughest hombres to ever grace our sport. Hell, maybe to even walk the planet. And he will be featured tonight inducting Kazushi Sakuraba. Of course, you know that he's a Hall of Famer himself and had one of the best speeches ever. Loved your speech, Don.
Thanks.
I can tell at that very moment how much being in the Hall of Fame meant to you, your career, how much it meant to you, and the fans and everybody that supported you. So it was really, really, I mean, one of the best speeches, not only in mixed martial arts, but in all of sports that I've ever seen. I was really touched. Don't tell anyone, but a tear may have been flowing. So
that's that burrito you had the night before.
Yeah. So I think you inducting Sakuraba is going to be great. Don's also a UFC tournament champion and an ultimate tournament champion, 9-1 overall in the UFC, and of course after that he took his talents over to Pride and different organizations. So he had a great career, and now he's here in studio. So we're going to start the show here in about 5-10 seconds.
That's right, coming up at 10. Stand by.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
All right, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Somewhere around here I got a pair.
There's no escape.
I was thinking, man, those look just like mine.
Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes. Our ace co-host, Becky's handling all the producing duties. It's our producer, Danny Olkers. Olkers. Sitting to my right is UFC Hall of Famer, former UFC tournament champion, and ultimate tournament champion, the distinguishable Don Frye. What's up, Don? How you doing?
Pretty damn good. How are you?
Pretty good. A little more volume there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that is weird.
I screwed something
Oh, there he goes. All right.
Yeah.
Goes already. He's eliminating you off the show, right?
So much for that, huh?
Like, what time are we getting rid of this guy?
Yeah.
I guess I should have brought donuts.
Or a burrito. Why do I get all the racial stuff? You know, the burritos and the tacos, and with Goes is a donut.
I like Goes.
He lost all that weight. There's no more donut jokes.
Wow.
I get them all at this point.
You can't say wow now, like 20 minutes later.
Oh, come on, man. It's not like you're important or anything. Hey,
So how you been?
I'm pretty damn good, I think.
Yeah?
You know, shit.
Is there a special feeling coming into Las Vegas, a place that you've been to a lot, and not just Las Vegas, but the MMAjunkie Radio studios?
Oh yeah, just to see you two beautiful faces. You know.
It's better than the house that we used to broadcast out of, right?
Oh man, you know what I was telling them guys? If they asked, if they had seen where you started out, that's very impressive. You guys are the American dream. You started out in your parents' living room, or den, and with a cheap little microphone, and then you're here, man. I mean, you guys have done it. It's impressive, very impressive, man.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary.
Really, congratulations.
You didn't get that text?
No, I don't get any text
He
from
missed
you.
the steak dinner.
Yeah, we don't want to go through this one again because somehow it'll wind up being my fault.
Yeah, I get texts asking for money, but
here's my PayPal. Put something in it.
Yeah.
All right. So, Don, tonight what brings you to town is you are inducting, the UFC's inducting, but you're presenting Kazushi Sakuraba.
Yeah. That's cool.
Very cool. I mean, a legend presenting another legend.
Well, that happened last year. Dan Severn inducted me. So
I got my jacket, and I'm ready to go. I can't wait.
Yeah. They make a jacket to fit you?
They do, yeah. They do, believe it or not.
Them together or what?
What is this, a roast? What's going on here?
Just warming up.
All right, so listen, Kazushi Sakuraba, I mean, talk about this guy. We all know how great he was, but in the time you've spent together in any form of a competition, training, or just socially, what's that guy like? Not much is known about him on this side of the world.
No, I mean he's really, really quiet. Wouldn't say shit if he had a mouthful. I mean, he's just impressive. You saw him come down to the ring. He looked like he's about to fall asleep just coming into the ring. Just nothing got him excited. He's calm, collected. Everything was, and it wasn't like a plan. Because he can adapt. He can adapt immediately.
Right.
In any situation.
Big old knee braces, and they'd really patch him up in the back, right? He'd have some I don't know if it was that magnetic tape.
Yeah,
I guess.
Well, I know that he used to put it on his knees as well, but
right.
Then I heard an interview once where he said he would just do it to both of them, so they wouldn't know what the hell was going on.
Right. You don't know which knee to attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always do that.
Yeah, definitely. He came over from the pro wrestling world. And then, of course, had success in MMA. I mean, he was hunting the Gracies down. The guy did a lot in our sport.
He did a great job. He'd walk into the ring with a mask on, He just, the stuff he did was, like I said, he's like Elvis over there.
Yeah. He painted his abs. Remember when he did that?
He did,
That was funny.
No.
Well, that's the part that I guess we just never really got to know. I mean, like Don said, stoic, serious, and then all of a sudden he'd be clowning around.
Yeah.
So that's why I figured locker room, what was that guy like behind in the hotel lobby in the locker room? I mean, was he joking around like that, keeping it loose, or
we never
head down?
We never shared the same locker room.
Okay.
So I don't know. Pride was a really unique organization. There'll never be anything to match it again. Mm-hmm. Every show was a true event. And every card was full of great fighters, and any of those fights could have been main events on any other show. So you had, 7 to 10 main event fights, just phenomenal.
Going back to what he brought up about the locker room in Pride, did the Americans kind of stick together, or, was it?
No, they would separate everybody. I mean, because Ken Shamrock and I, and then Mark Coleman and I. So you're gonna fight. They kept you separate.
Yeah. But what about just in general? Like, did you kind of root for the other Americans in Japan?
Oh, yeah,
sort of thing,
always. Hell yeah.
Favorites?
I'm prejudiced like that. You're damn right.
Yeah.
always go for the USA.
The big countries, I guess, at the time were there was the Russians, the Brazilians, the Americans, the Japanese. That was kind of like the big four, I guess, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal fighters. I really can't remember having witnessing a bad fight in Pride. A lot of other organizations, they have several bad fights a night, on their cards. But I think every fight was a go-to.
Mm-hmm. How did you get to be the presenter for Sakuraba? Did he ask you? Did the UFC ask you? How did that come about?
I think I begged them.
Okay.
Ann Evans, we spoke, and I said, well, who's presenting Sakuraba? And they said, well, you want to? You're damn right I want to.
Very cool. Is it all going to come from the heart, or have you written stuff down?
Oh man, I can't do that. I can't divulge that information.
Why not?
Have to plead the fifth.
Oh, yeah?
Well, what I will say is
because you like to talk from the heart, but at the same time, like, there's just so much to cover. I mean, there's so much history to cover between, what he's done.
Right, right.
Well, in all the Don Frye episodes we've ever done, Don Friday, he's never once gotten the questions ahead of time.
That's true.
That's right.
And those have all been gold, so I got to assume most of what he's going to say is going to come from here.
All off the cuff. But I saw you were prepared for your own speech, so I'm sure there's research done, preparations done.
Well, Donald Trump and I, both get in trouble for shooting out of the hip, and so sometimes we have to have something written down to follow.
If somebody were to run into you, why are you in town? Oh, I'm here, to present Kazushi Sakuraba, and somebody says, "Oh, really? What was he like? Like, what stands out about Kazushi Sakuraba to you, either as an athlete or human or both?"
Oh, well, he had the biggest heart, and courage of anybody I've ever seen. I had a pretty good heart back when I was fighting, but it's not even the same solar system compared to that guy. I'm just a child, compared to a giant, when it comes to having perseverance, like that guy. I mean, he put books in his pants to be able to weigh in for the UFC fight over there in Japan.
It's true, man. He fought a lot of bigger dudes than him.
Yeah, he weighed $185, and he fought Conan Silveira, and tapped him out, so. The guy's phenomenal.
Yeah, Rampage was another guy.
Yeah,
those are some big dudes coming at you, and he never really showed any fear. That's for sure. So I like that for sure. Courage. He did a little bit. I don't even know if he realized just how big of a superstar he was, because the Japanese crowd is so quiet. But when it was time for him, whatever roar that would come out, you could feel it, even though thousands of miles away. It's 3 a.m. over here in North America. We're watching, but it was pretty special when he'd come down that ramp.
Right.
I loved even just the interviews that they'd have with him. I didn't speak Japanese, but just seeing him smoking and drinking before a fight, he kind of seemed like an American at times, just the way he would conduct himself. And like I said, I think it was Randleman, where they asked him, what do you think about fighting at such a specimen like that? And weigh-ins, he showed up with a Sharpie and drew the six-pack abs on himself. Like, he just had a good sense of humor. He was a great guy.
Yeah. Tell you what, you nailed it earlier, man. We can't replicate that era, those days.
No, because you got guys nowadays bitch about somebody being 1 pound overweight. Sakuraba and I, we both fought guys who were twice our body weight and more than that too. And you're talking real athletes too. You're not talking just some big fat guy. Gets off the couch. That's an idiotic statement when anybody ever says that. I mean, you're talking real freaking athletes that are fighting.
Do you have any regrets for fighting bigger guys from back in the day? Years later?
Yeah, I regret that, I was injured and I got on pain pills, to continue on. And, I regret taking the pills before the fight sometimes. And it slowed my reflexes. It slowed my my brain and everything else. It increases your heart rate and reduces, the amount of oxygen you can get in your body too. Your breathing and respiration. So it's like having a little mini heart attack, out there while you're fighting somebody. And there's a lot of things I wish I'd have done different.
Do you ever see all the stuff that now the fighters have available to themselves, like the new facility that the UFC is putting together? Do you ever think about what you could have done if you had something like that? And would you have even liked it? Because, I don't know, I kind of picture you as that guy in the Apollo Creed gym versus something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty much basically what it was. The dingier and dirtier, the more I liked it, because it brings you back to your roots, and these people, they get too much technology and too much fluff, and they get soft. It's real easy to get lazy as an athlete, and you get spoiled. You get spoiled real bad.
Tell me about the camaraderie between Hall of Famers. For example, in football, they're all wearing their gold jackets, and you can just tell that behind the scenes, like there's a congratulatory stage, and people are talking. That's maybe the one time per year they see each other, and obviously you'll see a couple this weekend. Is there like a level of respect, maybe even not being a snob or anything, but just knowing, hey man, you know, we reached this pinnacle, and damn, I like shaking your hand once a year, you know, and welcoming the new Hall of Famers. Like, what's that like, I guess?
It's good, you know, and like you said, there is a camaraderie. It's a very, very small fraternity, you know, and you share the respect with each other that the fans have given you, you know, and Dana White and the Fertitta brothers have given you, you know, and everybody at the UFC. And it's just a level, you know, once you're in, you never lose it, you know. It's better than having winning a title, you know. You always lose that.
I hope them young fighters take the time to chat with you guys.
Yeah, I just saw Maurice Smith, you know, and it's like, congratulations, you know, and
That's
he came over, and you know, he deserves it too. And he's one that was easy to overlook, but I mean, he's a phenomenal fighter, and a phenomenal athlete, and he deserves to be in there.
What's it going to be like? What is it like when you see Joe Silva? I know at some time you guys didn't get along, and then I think you guys finally settled, you know, or had work, or you know, there was no longer a beef or whatever we call it. But what's that like now when you see him?
I like Joe. I always liked Joe. I just we never really didn't get along. It's just you know, I badmouthed him. It was all on me.
Okay.
You know, I made nasty comments which I shouldn't have made, because Joe's a good guy and he doesn't deserve that. He deserves respect for everything he's done for the sport. And you know, we saw each other a few years back at the Arnold Classic. You know, and when I walked up and you know, I swallowed my pride, and I apologized to him, and you know, he says, "Don, you've always been one of my favorite fighters. I don't know why you were saying what you were saying." You know, and like, I apologized again, and then you know, then we took some photos, and everything is golden.
The toughest men in the world know when to say I'm sorry.
You're damn
or
right.
Or I'm wrong. You know what I mean?
Or they're not men, right?
That's part of being a man. You know, admit that you're wrong.
Especially face to face.
Right.
I'll even save it if I know I'm going to cross with somebody, you know, and but I think it means more.
Yeah. Well, you know, everybody tries to out tough everybody and all this, but or you know, you're dissing me and all that. Well, out polite me. You know, show me. You know, you wanna put somebody down, out polite them, and that'll bury them faster than anything.
I like that.
What I don't understand is how he was able to spot Joe at the Arnold Classic with all the other beefcakes, right?
Yeah, he's just like one of the others, you know.
This is Don Frye, folks. Don Frye is a UFC tournament champion, an ultimate tournament champion, and a UFC Hall of Famer. Still, I think I've told you this before. I'll tell you again because we have new listeners all the time. We'll never forget that Tank Abbott fight, because Tank to me represented that, you know, he was actually from Southern California like myself. So at that age when I was going out, he represented that bouncer, you know, the bully that kind of shoves a flashlight and says, "Let me see your ID," or you know, or maybe he's the guy that throws you out and kind of moves that muscle around. So to me, I didn't see Tank Abbott, I didn't see David Abbott or anything like that. All I saw was like that guy that I wish I could kick his ass, you know, in case for any of the times I may have had a problem or whatever. And then you come in, and I'm thinking, watch, man, this guy's a wrestler. He's going to get it done. It ain't going your way early in the fight, you know? So I was like, fuck, the bully's going to win because, you know, you were my guy. You know, you're basically it was like saying, oh, yeah, I got Don with me. But you came back. You won one of my favorite fights of all time, honestly.
Thanks.
I loved it. And, of course, your face was crimson, and, you know, he put it on you. And I know that you've often said if you were ever going to be in a street fight, he's one of the 4 or 5 guys you want with him.
You're damn right.
Yeah, but I love that fight. I mean, there's some really, really golden fights, man, from, you know, the 90s and the early 2000s. And as much as people like to talk about the Takayama fight, that other fight was awesome.
Yeah, it was a fun fight, you know. Probably wouldn't have been fun if I didn't win, you know.
Give me your top 3 or 5 fights that I guess stood out, or moments of your career.
Hell, I mean, the Tank fight, the Takayama fight, obviously, the Shamrock fight, the Bitesh fight.
Omri
You know,
he got fucked up.
Yeah.
And Omri Bitesh is tough, man.
Yeah.
He's one of the best grapplers of all time.
Right,
but
real
holy cow, man, he got smoked. You smoked him.
Yeah, but he stood right
knees to
there.
the
You know,
head.
he didn't quit at all. You know, there's never even entered his mind once. You know, he was game the whole time.
You ever seen him since then?
No.
That was
Omri
Detroit.
Bitesh.
Was that in Detroit?
Detroit, yeah, UFC 9, yeah. And I think the best fight was my loss to Coleman, in UFC 10, because it showed to the world, that I just, I'm just not here. Just, I'm good with the win. I mean, I came to fight and I'll stick into the fight. It showed me a lot about myself too, and I was happy.
How many headbutts do you think you received that night?
More than one.
Yeah, man. Think about it, guys. Like, fuck, dude. Sports really evolve. Like, in football, the safeties, they just can't launch themselves into missiles and clean that receiver's clock out. In pro wrestling, the chair shots, those are gone. You have to put your arm up. And in mixed martial arts, all the stuff that used to go on back in the day, those headbutts, man. Those headbutts are
vicious.
no joke.
Remember Todd Medina? He used to throw those too. But I think the rule that changed a lot was not being able to knee a grounded opponent, because when guys would shoot him for takedowns and not get it, they were in such a horrible position where a guy like Don Frye or a guy like Mark Coleman could take advantage and start throwing those knees. That now they can't do that. It changes that risk that people were taking.
Right, the soccer kick. Vanderlei Silva with the soccer kick. That was phenomenal.
You ever had one whiz by, one that didn't connect but whiz by?
Oh, yeah.
What's that sound like?
Oh, it sounds like a bullet going right by, Who was it I fought in my first Pride?
I can look it up.
Gilbert Ivel.
Oh.
He can kick, man.
Yeah, he missed my head by just a fraction of an inch, man. It was like, whew, it was like a train going right by,
How long did you have to go after every fight? Because you were in some really, really tough battles. How long did you have to go after every fight before you said, when's the next one? Like, did you have to go through, whether it was just an hour to decompress, a week, a month, where you actually even thought of, like, man, that needs to be the last one, and then all of a sudden you're like, nah, I'm a fighter, I'll fight again. Like, dude, how did you have to talk yourself back into just continue?
Right away. There was no talking myself. I mean, as soon as my hand was raised or wasn't raised, I was ready to go again. It's just, it's my commitment to life. Was to be a fighter, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my work, and it took you 2 weeks to recover if you didn't get hurt. But man, when you got hurt and you had to recover, and then as soon as you're done recovering, you're back to training, because we fought every 3 or 4 months.
For as much as we talk about Pride and how much we loved Pride, you had time with the UFC as well.
Right.
Is there one that kind of just feels like home?
No, they both do. Because I was 9-1 in the UFC in '96, and then I had a fight over there in Japan. They call it U Japan or Ultimate Japan. So I was 10-1 that year. And that was a bit of a busy year. And but plus I fought under Semaphore Entertainment. Not Zuffa, but. So I still feel like an outsider, but UFC's coming in here with you guys, flying in, put me up in the hotel, the guys, Ant Evans and Steve and Paul out there, everybody treats me in gold. And so it's just, it's like being part of the organization, even though I never fought for these guys.
That's true.
So,
I was telling George yesterday, we were talking a little bit about fighters and fight footage and how many fights they watch on their opponent, that sort of thing. And I thought a little bit about you when you walked in. And I remember that era. For us to find any time they would introduce a new fighter, like Marco Huas into the UFC,
right.
the first thing we wanted to do was get some videos on him, because he had a record. So we knew he fought, but where do you get him, right? So we call every Blockbuster in town, every place that could possibly have a video. How did you prepare for fighters? When you heard their name, YouTube wasn't big back then. You couldn't just pop that up. How would you find fight footage?
It was a whole different world back then. You just got lucky, you know. I mean, because UFC 8, I didn't know anybody, you know, and there's no footage. Everybody was new.
Just the word on the street type shit?
Right, you know. And then you just ask you ask the promoter, okay, what's the style? And then you research the style, so you know what it is. Then UFC 10 against Amari Batesh, I got, you know, he was like 150-1, you know, and they said he was backstage, you know, in his locker room drinking champagne before that first loss, or that one loss, you know.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, because they figured, we're going to win, you know, so they were celebrating, you know.
Wow.
And then he went in and lost, you know, and so I got hold of that fight, you know. Somebody had a copy of that fight, so I, you know, reviewed it several times before the fight, you know. And so we knew a little bit about the guy. And then UFC 10, that's
Mark Hall, Brian Johnston, Mark Coleman.
Yeah, hell, they wanted me to fight Gary Goodridge first round in UFC 10. I said, you guys that's ridiculous, you know. We fought in the finals, you know. Save that one for the final or semifinals. And so they threw in Hall, and I thought, poor Mark Hall, you know, because I'm the great Don Frye, you know, and he should have been he should have won UFC 3, you know. So when everybody fell out, you know, so that's why I would just hit his ribs for 10 minutes. And finally, you know, you're an idiot, you know. I shot my wad. I woke up sick that day, and then I shot my wad, and in those 10 minutes, you know, then fighting Brian Johnson, man, Brian was a phenomenal athlete, man. Every time he hit me, it hurt. You know, every time he kneed me, it hurt, you know. And so when it came time to fighting Coleman, all I knew was, you know, he was a wrestler, and he was on the Olympic team, you know.
Was there ever an instance where not having fight footage, not having pictures at your disposal, where you saw a guy and said, damn, you're a lot bigger than I thought?
Yeah, first time I fought Gary in UFC 8, you know. Walked out there for the finals, and like, goddamn. You know, I mean, I was real glad I didn't see him fight Paul Herrera, you know. Probably packed my shit and left, you know.
The elbows. Yeah, that was crazy,
like crucifix.
man.
Yeah, it was like, everybody's like, goddamn, they killed him. It was like when Tank knocked out
Matua.
No, Steve Elmar.
And then he pushed him back kind of, and he wound up.
Like, God damn, he killed him. He killed him.
Yeah.
Don, if a young fighter says, what awaits me for when my fighting career is over? So not about like how to throw a 1-2 or a double leg or anything like that, but just, you know, like give me some advice about what I can do now to prepare for when my career is going to be over.
Save your money.
Okay.
Save your money. And get a prenup.
Don had 20 wins in his career. All of his UFC wins were finishes. And then when he went to Pride, he went, after leaving the UFC, he went 6-0. He got to 15-1. Only the Shamrock was a decision. The only time he went to the judges. So, you know, often on this show, we're always talking about win, but make a statement. Don't leave it in the hands of the judges. But that's something that a lot of people forget. That not only did you win a tournament, an ultimate, but you finished all your fights too. You know, that's what the fans love. You know, they want. I mean, of course, you go home and argue, and maybe that's fun for some people. But I want a definitive result, and you always provided that.
Yeah, I got lucky, you know, and like I just got hired with Fandom, you know, to where they're starting this video thing to. You know, we're at a bar, we're at the house, we're having a few beers, and then you tell me Muhammad Ali could beat, Bruce Lee, you know? And I said, no, you can't, you know, it's crazy. And I said, well, let's ask Don Frye. So, you know, I'm like the referee for this. So you bid your coins, you know, I bid my coins, anybody else can bid in on the result, and then I got the final say.
And you tell us how the fight would. You break it down for us and tell us how it'd go.
Oh, we haven't got that far yet. So.
Oh. Okay.
We might.
Is this a video game or is this a conversation game or what is it?
It's it's a video computer thing. Yeah.
How about that? And when will this be available? I guess.
I think they're gonna launch it here at the end of the year, at the beginning of next year.
Very cool.
Yeah, Fandom. It's a company out of Canada.
And where will they fly you for this? Where's the setting? I guess. Do you know any of that?
No, I probably do, but I can't remember. I think the setting is, wherever I'm at. I mean, obviously, because anybody can have the question at any time.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
So you can maybe do it from home.
Yeah, they'll beat me on my computer or my phone, and then I'll chime in.
Well, fill us in on the details when you get it and when it all gets launched. We'd love to support it.
Yeah, they have somebody for pro football, pro baseball, hockey. They get a guy from every sport.
Very cool.
Do you think this is a way of getting us to stop texting them?
It could be.
You're gonna ask me questions.
It could
Charge
be.
your money. That's
hit
right.
me up on the app.
Send me $1.
Let's take a commercial. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We have UFC Hall of Famer Don Frye here in studio with us. We're gonna pay some bills and we'll be right back after these messages.
Can you please tap that rather large fellow on the shoulder and tell him it's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes? Thank you.
All right, so this is Don Frye sitting next to us. You can follow him on Twitter at Don Frye Fighter. He's not only a former professional fighter, also an actor. So if anybody's looking for an actor, there you have it. He's done that. He's done stunt work, voiceover work. Great guy. He will be presenting Kazushi Sakuraba at tonight's UFC Hall of Fame ceremony. Don, let's go back to last year. What landed you in the hospital? You know, everybody had a lot of concern for, you know, hey, we heard Don Frye was hospitalized, and you know, we know you had many surgeries, but this one was really, really, really serious, and a lot of people, you know, love you, including Goes and I. We obviously were concerned, but I guess what put you there, and you seem like you're definitely recovering well now. But tell us about that.
I broke the rods in my back. You know, I had titanium rods in my back.
Okay.
It must have been Chinese titanium or something. Because, you know, I broke them within a year and a half after they put in. And so I walked around for a year and a half, you know. My back was hurting. You know, my ex-wife would tell me I'm just not the man I used to be, and don't have the pain tolerance. You know, I'm thinking you're right, because you know everything should have been fixed. You know, what's wrong with me? And finally, I went to the doctor, got an X-ray, and he said, "Well, there's the problem there, dumbass. You broke the rods."
Right.
And so we.
But that surgery had complications, I guess, or was it?
Yeah. So they pulled the rods out and put in new nickel-plated rhodium or something, and then I was good for 3 days, and then I had a brain hemorrhage, and
shit.
Yeah, and excuse me, just a little one, you know, got a little brain. So.
Wow.
So then they put me in a coma, and in the coma I got a fever, and I had a couple spinal infections. I got pneumonia, you know, and you know, I was in ICU for 3 weeks, you know, in the coma, and I remember I woke up about 3 or 4 times, and they had I was hogtied, and they put mitts on me, and they had a security guard there watching me, and I remember, you know, waking up and planning my escape. Okay, I got to kill this guy, and then I'll go out the window and go down the stairway, you know. Then
pneumonia is no joke, man.
Huh?
Pneumonia is no joke.
Yeah. So then I woke up, and I was in the hospital for 2 more months, and you know, some friends came and saw me, you know, and so then I got out. I went to Jimmy Zond. Jimmy Zond's a good buddy of mine over there in Encino. You know, he's a stunt driver, and he put me up for 2 months while I recovered, and then I moved back to Arizona, and now I'm at buddy mine, Jeff Spencer, and his wife Kathy. You know, their kid, and they're housing me right now. You know, because the deal was, you know, after some. Ken used to describe it, Harry, here's the life and here's death, here's the line. You're kind of like water skiing, you know. And the advice of all the doctors and everything is don't make a financial decision for 12 months, you know, after something like that happens. So that's why I'm kind of like, you know, haven't signed a lease or anything like that. I'm just, you know, friends are putting me up here and there. So they're, you know, I mean, Ken Yasuda, Jeff Spencer, Jimmy's on, you know, I mean, you find out who your friends are, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jason Henderson over there, you know, he runs the post office in Catalina, you know, he helped. And then Justin Stevenson over in South Dakota, you know, he's pitched in, you know. Then I got Rocco and Grady, you know, Rocco's in Denver, Grady's up in Seattle, Washington, you know, and then Steve, you know, they all pitch in. They all pitch in and help me out. Make sure, you know, I don't screw up and go out and buy a car or a house or, you know, or some, you know, diamond necklace for a woman, you know. You know.
When will be 12 months?
Oh, man. Oh, September 29th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you definitely look better than when we saw you last time. And you like I say, you told me you haven't drank almost a year, actually.
Right.
So, I mean, we're cheering for you, obviously.
Thanks.
And always great to see you. Thanks for stopping by the studio. I can't wait to see you tonight. I will be there when you present Kazushi Sakuraba.
Cool.
Can I ask one ridiculous question?
Oh, we would expect nothing else out of you.
All right, this is just a playful, ridiculous question. But you've worked in Hollywood and you've done movies.
Right.
If when you woke up from the coma, they told you, Don, guess what? We needed somebody for a movie that was in a coma, and we figured, hell, we'll give you this role, and we filmed you for a couple scenes here and there. How much money would they have to give you for you to be okay with that?
To lay there and sleep?
So you don't. It already happened.
You already did the
woke
role.
up,
Yeah.
and you already did the role. They filmed you while you were asleep.
Oh, they filmed me.
But you're going to pop in a movie in a few months.
They're not going to tell you what kind of movie it is or nothing. They just go, hey, how much?
No.
Nothing?
Next thing you know, you'll be in a porno.
No, you won't be in anything like that.
Rikishi's got his ass on your face.
Yeah, won't be able to enjoy it. Yeah.
All right, there you have it, folks. Follow him on Twitter at Don Frye Fighter. Don, let us know the next time you're in Vegas. We always have a blast with you.
Yeah, well,
Oh, and let us know about fandom too when that comes to
all
fruition.
right. Yeah, I'm just might be back soon. I'm waiting on Misha Tate to tell me to pack my bags and move in, or
She's got a nice house.
yeah,
All right.
or little Valentina Shevchenko here, move in with her, if it don't work out between Misha and I. So,
All right, folks, we're going to take our second break here in this first hour. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Don Frye in the house. When we come back, we will play our interview with Valentina Shevchenko that we pre-recorded earlier. So stay close. We'll be right back.
They are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tats. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, we're back here on MMA Junkie Radio. We just wrapped up with the legend Don Frye. He's going to be inducting Kazushi Sakuraba tonight in the Hall of Fame. That's right, there's a Hall of Fame, and there are still a lot of people that deserve to be in there, and hopefully those guys get recognized, guys and gals. That's the world we live in today with mixed martial arts. I thought a couple years ago we would never be saying that, but Danny, I don't believe that we will have enough time to fit this.
All right.
Can you confirm? I don't know. Are we gonna have enough time, George, to
Yeah.
to run that interview?
I don't know if we will anymore.
What happened?
If we're gonna have
We've already come back from break. You weren't here.
Oh.
If we're gonna have enough time.
Yeah, play it. It's 10 minutes long, right?
You're gonna be cutting it really close.
Well, that's what we do here on the show. Play it, please. This is our pre-record with Valentina Shevchenko. Here we go. Folks, joining us now is one of the headliners for the upcoming UFC 213 card, which takes place this Saturday here in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. Valentina Shevchenko will be challenging Amanda Nunes for the UFC bantamweight title. She joins us now on the hotline. Hello, Valentina. How are you?
Hello, George. I'm good. Thank you.
Awesome to talk to you. Great to talk to you here on Fight Week. I also got Goes here with me. Valentina, all right. I mean, literally, your life could change in about 48 hours. How are you feeling? Are you containing the excitement, the nerves? You know, what's your state of mind right now?
Right now, I'm very focused and concentrating on the fight, and saving all my energy to put her on the time of the fight, to make like explosion on the fight. But for now, it's only savings.
Have you ever talked to other champions, and have they ever told you what life as a champion is like? And I'm talking about UFC, because I know you've won world titles in other sports, but in the UFC, have you ever run into some of the other world champions and you know, they describe, I guess, what these opportunities are like?
No, I don't need it. I don't need to talk with no one, because I create in my own life. I create in my own future, and I don't need to speak for nothing about this, because if it's come, it will come, and I will know how it's feeling.
There you go. Valentina Shevchenko joining us here on MMA Junkie Radio. She fights on Saturday, folks. It is a pay-per-view, so you got to dole out those $60 to watch these ladies throw down. She challenges Amanda Nunes for that UFC bantamweight title. Goes, what do you have for Valentina?
Valentina, Amanda's last couple fights, we've seen what she does, but she hasn't been able to do that to you. In the last fight, she wasn't able to put you away. Do you feel like she may have to try and change tactics for her next fight with you, or do you think she'll come in and be the Amanda that we've kind of been used to seeing in other fights?
I'm ready for every tactic that she will choose. And I know exactly she will try to do it or making as fast as she can, or making by points no more. But I'm ready for everything, and I know that her very weak sides, and I will use this knowledge to take the victory, and every time to hit hard and working from the first second till the last second of the fight, and give all my best to show the good performance, a good show on the fight.
If you defeat Amanda Nunes, do you feel like the UFC would give her an immediate rematch, and do you think she would deserve one?
I don't think about this, because I don't have to think about this. My thinking is only about the fight, and I really don't care what will happen with her after the fight.
Are you and your coach Pavel always in agreement with all of the tactics? Does he come up with the whole game plan, or do you come up with it together?
Mostly, of course, it's him. He's thinking every single moment of the day about the fight, about the technique, about the tactical, and it's not only something one tactic. No, we have few tactics. It all depends how we'll turn the fight. I will use the tactics that we are working on it during my training camp.
What do you think of Fight Week in general? You know, you have to do a ton of media interviews. You have to do a press conference or media day, or you have to pose and face off in front of your opponent. Do you feel like what the UFC does for the makes the fighters do during Fight Week is adequate? Do you wish it was less? Do you wish it was more?
For every fighter, they wish that it would be less. Every fighter, but it's nothing it's our job. We are all professional fighters. We are doing our job to promote our fight, and it's good, because more promotion it will come for the fight, more it will be totally good for the sport in general. And so we have to do our job, but at the same time, like professional fighter, he has to know how to control and how to divide and not put too much, not put too less, and exactly to save all energy that he will need or she will need for the time of the fight. Because like all media, it's one, but the most important thing is the fight, and only like victory on the fight is there. This what is like most important from all things.
Valentina Shevchenko, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. She fights on Saturday. Again, folks, it is a pay-per-view. Get that money out. Go to a friend's house. Do something. Get to a Hooters or BW3s, but you can't miss this fight between these two highly decorated bantamweights. All right, Valentina, just a couple more questions here. And again, we appreciate your time here on Fight Week. What about Jose Aldo used to say, he said it a couple times, I think it was during his Frankie Edgar fights, that, you know, now that you guys are all in the same city and maybe you see each other in passing, are you ever afraid of spies? Like somebody from her camp just kind of happens to go in your warm-up room or anything like that? You ever experience any of that in any of your fights or this week at all, just being precautious of who's watching you?
Everything can happen because it's like a lot of fighters. You are right. It's you never know if someone person is looking your training. It's maybe it's from training from the camp of your opponent. It's every time it can happen, but you're doing all to prevent this, like trying to have your personal time and without looking for nothing outside of the training. And we are trying every time to have our space to feel us, me and my training camp, like my coach, my sparring partners, to feel us comfortable during the training without preoccupation that someone, wrong person is looking our our training for the fight.
When will be the last time you either check your phone for emails, text, or social media, or even somebody just calling you to say, good luck, Valentina, whether it's a friend, a teammate, a family member, anything like that? When will you shut all that off?
It's like I'm not crazy about this, like to shut everything out or totally. In the day of the fight, I never respond. In the day of the fight, it's not time for meetings, it's not time for speaking, no. But before the fight, I still have like a little time. Of course, it's if it's calling my family or my very close friends to wishing me good luck. Of course, I every time respond, and it's very good to speak with them because they are like giving me good energy and positive energy for the fight.
Very cool. Okay, here's my last one. Okay, I've noticed, because I've been in the actual locker rooms, I've actually cornered before, like the men, when they talk to each other just before they get out, sometimes it can get really intense, you know, and I'm going to use some bad words here, so please forgive me, but they'll say like, get that motherfucker, kick his ass, beat that, you know, kick the shit out of that asshole, whatever. They're firing each other up. This happens in a lot of sports. And what I'm curious about, I've never really been around a female locker room now that women's MMA has been around, you know, in the UFC for a few years and everything. But same thing, like, do the women get that intense? Do they use curse words like that? Like in your environment, is that something you like, or is it just different?
I will not say about all women in general, because I really every person, they are using their own tactic. But I can say about my locker room, about my coach. He like every time motivating me without this kind of words, without this kind of stuff, because I exactly understand what I have to do. And I understand how important the fight. And every time I try to make like every single fight, like it's the last fight of my life, it put everything like very, very good from my side to show good fight. And this is like how our locker room, and it's more, I think, it's more quiet in time of the fight than, for example, in training camps.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, this is great. We had a great time talking to you, and want to wish you the best of luck on Saturday, Valentina, as you fight Amanda Nunes for her bantamweight title, her UFC bantamweight title. And thank you for giving us this interview on Fight Week. We appreciate it. Please say hello to your sister and Pavel and Roger.
Of course I will. Thank you very much, George. Thank you, Ghost. It's every time very good pleasure. It's I very enjoy to speak with you, and it's given me like good motivation and good energy too.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much. Take care, Valentina. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There you have it, folks. A pre-record with Valentina Shevchenko. We literally did it about 1 hour ago, so everything's fresh, and she's ready to go for her fight versus Amanda Nunes at UFC 213 on Saturday. We're going to take a quick break here and a sports update. When we come back, we're going to form this little panel here spontaneously. I'm going to get the most current odds, and we'll talk about the fights that are coming up this week. So stay close. We'll be right back. It's MMA Junkie Radio.
There's 1,000 pretty women waiting up.
That's a song there. That's a tune. I like that one. I'm not really, that wouldn't be my first choice, but I got into that song. Who chose that one, Danny?
I chose this one, actually.
Good job. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. It's Fight Week here in Las Vegas, Thursday, July 6th. Thank you again to Ant Evans for facilitating the Don Frye spot. He came in studio here, UFC Hall of Famer. And Paige coming through with the Valentina Shevchenko spot from earlier. We're now joined by Dave Madden and Sean Lennon. You can follow them on Twitter. Dave is at Dave Madden MMA. Sean is at Fightleet, and it's FIGHTLETE. These are two gentlemen that in the last couple years I've met, and so with Dave, I've met him in person. We've hung out, we've talked, and Sean most recently has had me on his show, the Fight League Report, and so Sean alerted me that he'd be in Vegas. I saw Dave's tweet earlier, so here we go, man. We're just running it, you know what I mean? That's the luxury of 5 days, 2 hours per day, is we can kind of do whatever the fuck we want. And I'm glad we got our guests out of the way, and even though we'll be joined by Jason the Intern later on, we'll talk about TUF. I want to talk with you guys. You guys cover the sport. About these fights coming up, UFC 213, and of course the TUF 25 finale. So thank you both for sitting in here with us.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Let's talk about the headliner. I want to start at the top because I don't want to run out of time. Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko. Amanda Nunes, the world champion, and I produced some the latest odds here for you guys, so we can kind of keep as current as we can here. I know some of them have kind of swayed back and forth. There's obviously movement on either side. Nunes is -120. Shevchenko's -110. Earlier this week, Shevchenko was the favorite. In fact, when we did your show, I think we mentioned Shevchenko was the favorite. We'll start with you, Sean. Have you changed in the last 48 hours since we discussed this? You've seen maybe some open workout videos and follow them on social media. Who's going to rise to the occasion at the right time? How are you feeling about Amanda Nunes and Valentina Shevchenko?
I'm still going to go with Shevchenko.
Okay.
Because I think Amanda, what we've seen in the past, is her cardio. That's questionable, and I think that's going to be tested more than anything in this fight than any of her previous fights. Because as a champion, she's been defending the title, quick title defense against Ronda, quick title victory against Miesha Tate. So this is going to be a test for her.
It sure is. And Dave, you and I haven't really chatted about this fight, so I want to get your fresh thoughts on Valentina Shevchenko versus Amanda Nunes. Again, the odds have shifted. Money's coming in on Amanda Nunes here on Fight Week. Your thoughts on this fight?
I have a quick question because I'm not a big gambler and I don't really follow the odds very closely.
Okay.
When they're both minuses, does that I see it a couple times on this sheet here. I mean, is that normal or is that common?
Yeah, and that means they're pretty close to even. But either way, you have to go up there and leave a little extra to the house to pull back your $100. We always work off a fictional $100 bet. It's just that with Amanda, you have to leave a little bit more. You have to put a little bit more to make your $100. That's why you know that she's the favorite.
I knew, I knew how to, because you explained it.
Now let's say Amanda went up to -130, then Shevchenko would become a +110.
Gotcha.
So that's when it starts to shift. When the favorite becomes too big, you'll see the plus on the other side. But because they're so close, either way, they're going to get theirs. So you know, if you walk up and lay 120, and I walk up and I lay 110. Well, one of us is losing, right? So they're either keeping your 20 or my 10. Depending on what they've taken, they've adjusted so that they're making it so they want it to be as even as possible.
Right.
So that they just collect the juice. That 20, that 10, that's the juice.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
In terms of fight, though, I've heard the argument or the breakdown over and over. Shevchenko in the first fight, if it had gone 5 rounds, would have worn Nunes out, apparently, is the talk. In Nunes' last couple appearances, man, she's blasted people, and I think she'll come out and do that again. So I'm picking Nunes and picking in first couple rounds.
Mm-hmm. I'm still sticking with Shevchenko. However, like I put a disclaimer on your show, I know her very well. Goes and I did a military tour with her, so you just can't help to like somebody and cross that line, you know, which we often do. But regardless, you know, even if I step back from that, I just think she's a very technical fighter. Not to say Amanda isn't, but I think Amanda, those 2 knockouts, Tate and Ronda, which were devastating. Right. They were great, but they were also against 2 non-strikers. They'll be the first to tell you. Miesha Tate comes from the wrestling background, and I think a lot of her success has also been from how tough she is. But in this case, those punches added up, and Amanda was pinpoint. She was accurate. She was ruthless. Same thing with Ronda. Ronda comes from judo. They both fell in love with boxing, and obviously they developed hands, we'll say, but not to the level of Shevchenko. I think with Nunes and Shevchenko, Nunes will connect. Obviously, she connected in the first fight, but she's also going to miss. And that's where Valentina is a killer. She's got great counter striking. So as they progress through the fight, I just believe that the gas tanks will make a difference. I know Amanda told, she's told everybody that's willing to listen, hey, I prepared for a 3-round fight, not a 5-round fight. But what I saw was someone that gassed after 2 rounds, and the third round, I mean, she was gassing. So I don't know that there's enough in her in these last couple of years that all of a sudden I'm to believe that she's going to be strong for 25 minutes. Who knows? Maybe she proves us wrong. That's why we're here, right? But I'm sticking with Shevchenko. Yoel Romero versus Robert Whittaker. Now, this is 5 rounds because it's for the interim middleweight title. Remember, the winner here should, I say should, because anything can happen in the wacky world of the UFC, but they should unify with the incumbent, which is Michael Bisping. But that's a whole other conversation. Robert Whittaker's -130. Yoel Romero's even money. So what are your thoughts on this one? We'll start with you first, Dave.
Man, this is my main event in terms of just excitement. I was a little caught off guard with how many people were going with Whittaker. Not that he's not fantastic, not that he hasn't been on this great run at middleweight. It just kind of caught me off guard with Yoel Romero's just explosive attack and the way he moves. It's unlike anybody else in the UFC or in it, really MMA that I can pinpoint. I had Yoel Romero. I wasn't really changing it until I started hearing everyone else really going Whittaker, and I'm thinking, all right, well, I'm wrong. But that's going to be fun. I'm so excited for 5 rounds. Everyone keeps saying Yoel Romero has no gas. I guess he slows down a little bit.
He seems to manage it better, though. It makes for a boring fight, but he seems to manage it and then pick the occasions to explode. And when he does, oh, my God.
It's that weird slow explode. It's so weird, but it works for him. And I picture fireworks. It's going to be awesome. I think everyone's going to light up and be excited no matter what.
And how does it end?
I don't know. I was going Yoel knockout, but then I think, am I wrong? Is it Whittaker knockout? So I guess I'll go with my immediate guns. Yoel Romero knockout.
That's what I see, too.
Don't know what round.
I don't think it'll go to a decision. If it goes to decision, I side with Whittaker.
Yeah.
Because I think he'll be the stronger fighter, the younger fighter, just the fresher fighter. And by then, if he withstood 4 rounds with Yoel Romero, it probably means he's got a good grasp on his takedown attempts, his flying knee attempts, his crazy strikes, who knows what. But I think Romero gets it done probably somewhere in the 2nd or 3rd round. It's going to be a great fight. And if he doesn't, then that damn Whittaker, man. He may reign for a long time because I know a lot of people favor him versus Bisping. And who knows, but that guy just seems to get better and better. So I'm sticking with Romero. Sean, have you swayed in any way? What's your pick for this fight?
I'm still going with Yoel Romero by knockout. Like we previously discussed, I think Yoel Romero has a lot to gain from this fight. He said that he wants to be the champion, but on top of that, he's no spring chicken. He's 40 years old, and he's going to look to come out with a title. While Robert Whittaker at the open workout said that this is just a prize for him just to be in this fight. And so just saying those words makes me question Robert Whittaker's commitment to go all the way.
Like he may feel like he's going to have a few chances, a few runs, and if it don't happen, it don't happen. Gotcha. Yeah, and it's true because a lot, so much of this game is mental and convincing yourself that you deserve to be there and that you're going to win and that you're going to be a future champion. Obviously, a lot of fighters have proven that there's something to that, especially Conor. Conor just zeroes in, and I didn't hear that from Whittaker, but it's interesting. I still have to catch up on a lot of videos. So many things happen out there on Fight Week, and I was putting them down yesterday after the show, so I kind of lost track a little bit. All right, we lost Cerrone and Lawler. I wish we could talk about that. I got to close a couple parlays from the Kevin Lee card, the Bellator card, and I was closing them with Lawler. That'll happen at UFC 214. But and also Cody and Dillashaw should have been on here. But there is one other fight that Just hasn't been talked about much, and the stakes are high because Derek Lewis, about 3 weeks ago, lost a key fight to Mark Hunt, and that 6-fight, 7-fight win streak that he had, gone. All right? He'll reload. He'll come back. He'll go on another run. Who knows what his future is. But two guys that are in their mid to high 30s are Fabricio Verdum and Al Strovering. They fought 2 times before. This will be the rubber match, and I believe that the winner gets a shot at Stipe Miocic, as long as in the next 48 hours, Cain Velasquez doesn't proclaim himself healthy, because he's somewhat of a draw, and he was promised a title shot before, and I think the UFC kind of has given him, quite a few shots. They seem to like him. There's always the shot that the winner of Overeem and Verdum could stink the place up, and that's another reason to give it to Cain. But I haven't heard that Cain's healthy, so I believe that going back, the winner of this fight gets a shot at Stipe Miocic. Tell me, Sean, who do you like in this fight? Has anything changed since we spoke 2 days ago?
No, I'm still going with Alistair Overeem.
Okay. Oh, so we're on the same side on that one too. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What? Because we were differing for like 5 fights. That's more on the top 25 finale.
Yeah, that was more of the top 25.
Yeah. Johnson Gaethje.
Yeah, I had Gaethje.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you're sticking with Overeem in this one?
I am. I think he's going to knock him out.
All right. Tell me how he gets it done. How does this fight play out until you get to the finishing sequence? At least what you're seeing.
What I'm seeing is Overeem is just going to keep the distance. Verdum can throw hands, and he's thrown heavy shots before. He's ended people like Cain Velasquez, really tough fighters. So he's going to respect his power, and Overeem's just going to play the distance. He's going to, look to counter-strike Verdum coming in, and if Verdum wants to take it to the ground, he needs to just get back up. If he does similar what we saw from the Strikeforce performance against Fabricio Verdum, that's how I think it's going to play out, and I think he's going to knock him out, though. Mm-hmm. Different result.
And what I told you on your show, I'll repeat it because it's pretty much what I'm seeing is Verdum is a world-class grappler. He's reached the highest levels of Abu Dhabi. And Overeem's the highest levels of kickboxing. He won a K1 World Grand Prix. However, when they compete, they're going to start the fight standing, and every round they're going to start it standing. And I believe most of the fight will be standing. So I'm just going with the better of the two strikers. Now, Verdum upped his game since Strikeforce. Remember when he was flopping back and butt scooting? Right. I mean, he had almost no striking. All of a sudden, he's a legit Muay Thai black belt. Devastating knees and elbows and strikes, and he won a world title. So the guy definitely turned it around. But still, I still think they're going to compete. They're going to kickbox. If Verdum, I guess, had more offensive wrestling, then maybe I'd lean a little bit that way. But look, the odds makers, they can't decide either. I mean, minus 120 here at the bottom for Alistair Overeem. Verdum minus 110. So Overeem a slight favorite, but I just believe that he's a little bit more precise. He's a little bit more, disciplined. He kind of seems to crouch down and watch his distance. And then when he unloads, he unloads. The only thing that scares me is the chin. But Verdum he got touched last year as well. Who knows what his recovery will be? It was by Stipe Miocic, obviously, when he lost his title. But Overeem definitely seems to get touched a little bit more often than Verdum. So you have to go through those moments where, like, oh, my God, you hold your breath. But I guess I'm just going to stick with Overeem, man. It's going to be a close one, but I think Overeem gets it done. Dave Madden, who do you like?
Yeah, I think I was going Overeem. It's a pick'em, right here, and it was a pick'em for me, tossing up a coin. I guess I was picturing, because like you said, Verdum's got the Muay Thai, he's got the striking. It's just not maybe as precise. Hearing other pundits break down the Overeem and Verdum fight, just hearing Overeem, they're saying he's in a different kind of place mentally, maybe, with his training. And
Overeem?
Yeah, okay. I've just heard people saying that, and me not being close to him, I don't know, but I'm going off what they said. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, just in hearing him in interviews, he's the same guy though to me. He just seems calm and kind of, here's another fight, here's another one. Two vets, man. This is one of those heavyweight things where, you say it, where one of them's gonna fall, with one punch, but it really is, man. These guys are huge and they hit hard. So
yeah, I'll tell you what, I think Overeem is, without telling us, is being honest with himself, because he's very cautious with his stance, his distance. So to me, it seems like he had an honest and raw conversation with Jackson, and they said, listen, we got to protect your chin. You're a great striker, we've got to protect your chin. I noticed that he at times will go a minute or two without even throwing a strike. He doesn't care about the boos, and I think it's because he's reached heights of being a Strikeforce champ, a Dream champ, a K1 champ. You know, I mean, he's reached there, and now his new goal is to be a UFC champ. So I think he wants to be precise, and but I think even he knows that he has to protect his chin. So
I've heard a lot of people.
That's why some of his fights have been boring. The JDS fight. Great KO.
Yeah.
It fucking sucked until the KO though.
It sure did.
Seriously, it was like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
you know? But he got the result he wanted. That man, to have that kind of discipline and patience, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I wonder if when's Nagano and JDS? Because I wondered if
UFC in Edmonton.
Yeah, because I wondered if the UFC's
September.
kind of seeing how do you two do Overeem and Verdum, who both got knocked out by Miocic, you know, and how does Nagano do, who sounds like they're grooming?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
In fact, we may have talked about if Ngannou starts JDS, and they haven't given Miocic and the winner of Saturday's main event a fight booking, it could be that they're waiting for that.
Yeah.
Now, we'd have to wait till September 9th, I think that goes down. So that's a solid 2 months. And I don't know if they're willing to do that.
Yeah,
but if Ngannou looks great, I'm telling you, man, he may get a shot. If JDS wins, I think he's still behind Overeem and Verdum. Because of the last loss that he just took. So that's a tough one. But I'm glad that we have some options.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Friday night's main event. Justin Gaethje versus Michael Johnson. Start with you, Dave. Who do you like in this fight?
I'm not seeing the...
Oh, you want the odds?
I know they're right here. I just their names. Anyways, the odds to me don't
Johnson's
matter.
-160. Gaethje's the underdog at +130.
Wow. Yeah. Anyways, I just... Gaethje's finally in. Yeah, and I think we saw the World Series of Fighting. These guys are tough. They're not. These guys aren't taxi drivers, and they're tough fighters, and so and he went in there and yes, using your head is.
You just hammered all taxi drivers.
Sorry,
I
guys.
like to say Tijuana taxi drivers. That way, it's like just pinpoint to that little group. And if I remember Tijuana, I guess I got to face the music. But you just hammered.
At least he stayed away from Lyft and Uber drivers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I need a ride home. But I don't want to test it. But no, it's anyways, it's you can't use your head as a defense. I get that, but somehow it works for him. And
well, you know what he does though is he always gives you the forehead,
and it's the hardest point.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he gives you the forehead a lot. But you're right, he does take damage. And I think he just figures I'm going to out-tough you. But what I like most about Gaethje, and I'm sorry to hijack your breakdown, is that he has come to terms with losing. Like, it's going to happen. He doesn't worry about it. And I think that's what makes him so dangerous. He just goes out there and he's reckless and, throws the kitchen sink, everything but.
So scary.
It's really fun to watch that guy, But who knows how he's going to do against Michael Johnson. But tell us what you see the final outcome being.
Yeah, no, I see, I understand Michael Johnson's such a vet. He's been through so many names and so much talent. And how do you take that away from him? I just think Gaethje's going to be so different, dynamic, and so, I'm saying reckless with technique. I mean, with his technique. And I see Gaethje pulling it out. I see him finishing Johnson, catching him with something, hands, legs. I'm catching him. So.
Do you think for the first time in his life he will land the backflip after the fight?
That's what I want really bad. I wondered if they're gonna stop him. No, don't do that. Knowing it's coming. But yeah, I want to see that, man.
He always happens to stumble around, and I think Goes was telling me he almost hit Palomino one time after one of their fights. He almost squashed him. Yeah. Sean, you're sticking with Gaethje, obviously, unless you change your mind in the last 2 minutes.
I'm sticking with Justin Gaethje.
All right.
I'm not going to be swayed.
Yeah, I'm going with Johnson. You got to prove it to me, I guess, that you belong. But I definitely think he's a top guy. But part of being a top guy is being consistent against the top guys. And even though Johnson has dropped his fair share of fights, let's not forget, he's beaten Poirier, Lausanne, Barbosa, and Ferguson. So at one point or another, he has risen to the occasion. He won the first round against Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz won the last two. So Johnson is a tough out, man. Do not let that record deceive you. If Gaethje gets past him, then, man, this guy could be looking at a title shot pretty soon. Eddie Alvarez was on that. Had he beaten Cerrone in his first fight, he would have got a title shot. Gilbert, I believe, came to an automatic title shot. Yeah. The WEC guys proved that they were the truth. Two of them grabbing titles, Benson and Pettis. So I think the UFC definitely seen a blueprint there. All right, guys, listen. We got to wrap up pretty soon, but we're going to go to commercial. But I want to give you both the opportunity to promote everything you got going on. Start with you, David, man.
Yeah, please check out not my Twitter. You mentioned my old one, Dave Madden MMA.
Oh, did I blow it?
It got hacked.
Sorry,
yeah,
man.
that was my old one. I was so sad when it got hacked. But Dave Madden, and then just throwing an extra M in there for the MMA, kind of like Amanda Early does.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Dave MMA. That one. Oh, sorry. I don't know why I said MMA. I'm staring right at it right here.
That was my old
That's
one.
the right one, right, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dave MMA DDEN.
Yeah,
there you go.
And then I do so much. I try to just go to all the events in Northern California.
You still podcasting with Dave?
No, not with the MMA Gold team specifically. I do my own like little NorCal thing where I just record interviews. I do, and so at NorCal Fight MMA, and just with the team thing, it was so cool to work with MMA Gold and be up close with them. But it was like going on Thursdays on sparring night, and like versus working with the team and seeing wrestling night and kickboxing night, and El Dorado Hills was like an hour trip, man. And so it just didn't work out like in terms of that. But that was fun. What a neat experience to be up close with them and work with the team like that. Shout out to Aspen Ladd going up against Jessica I this weekend. And
that's right.
I'm fired up for that one. Good for her.
Yeah.
They owe her a name like Jessica I, of letting all these other names in, who Aspen's fought and beat. And so anyways. But yeah, NorCal Fight MMA, Northern California, NorCalMixedMartialArts.com. Thank you guys so much for letting me come on and share that and just join you guys and be part of this.
Yeah, Aspen's fighting. So we've seen her through Tough Enough, and then Invicta, and now in the UFC.
Yeah.
Wow, good on her. And, Jessica I has probably got her eyes on 25, but this would be a big win over Ladd. You've seen what Herrig, she's got a little bit of fire by beating the undefeated girls. So this would be a huge fight for Jessica I before she goes to 125, because I think she's a better fighter than what her record shows.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really cool interview. All right, Sean. Tell everybody where they can catch all of your work, please.
Okay, you can check me out at FightLead on Twitter. Also, Spreaker.com/user/FightLead houses all the podcasts and all the radio shows we do, so you can get it on demand on your phone. Just download the app. And you can like my page on Facebook, Fight Lead Report. I've been trying to reach out to all the MMA fighters out there, locally, regionally, nationwide. And I want to give a shout-out to all the regional fighters from the Midwest who are competing this weekend. Curtis Blades from Chicago. Bilal Muhammad from Chicago, and big shout out to Gerald Mershot III from Milwaukee as well.
Very cool.
And Jessica I too from Cleveland.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming on and joining us. We are going to take a break, folks, and when we come back, we will be joined by formerly known as Jason the Intern, Jason Buckamer. We will talk about the last 2 episodes of The Ultimate Fighter Season 25. As you'll recall, we took a vacation last week, so we weren't able to recap what happened last week and, of course, what happened last night. Everything's set for Friday night. We know the finalists. We know who else will be involved in the card. And, of course, we'll talk about the drama that took place last night. Tim Elliott, man, stirring things up out there in the Tough House. But it was a fun episode. I enjoyed it. I watched it like at 2 a.m., half passed out, but I really liked it. So we'll be right back. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close.
You know that scene in Star Wars where Darth Vader tells Luke he's his father? What if I walked in right after with my voice and was like, I'm your Uncle Walter. Can I get a lift home? That'd be crazy, right? Anyway, here are George and Goes.
Saturday night at 6 Eastern. On SiriusXM Rush 93, it's UFC 213 pre-fight live. After shocking the world and defeating Ronda Rousey at UFC 207, Amanda Nunes returns to the Octagon to defend her UFC Women's Bantamweight title in a rematch against Valentina Shevchenko. Join MMA analyst Ryan McKinnell and Danny Acosta as they host SiriusXM's UFC 213 pre-fight live Saturday at 6 Eastern on SiriusXM Rush Channel 93 and on the SiriusXM app. Want to welcome to the show a good friend of ours who's back doing his thing. He's from the Couve. You all know him as Jason the Intern. He also goes by Jason Buckamer. What's up? What's up, Jason? How you doing?
Man, how you doing?
Doing good.
Good, man. What about yourself?
Hey. Shh. Silence. Here comes the music. Is that one final shot, Gus? Is that one final shot?
Well,
didn't he graduate to the Van Halen?
I guess, yeah.
This is funny though.
It was right to the heart there. I thought I upgraded. I thought I moved up in the world.
No, man. As soon as this is all done, then yeah.
Yeah, I guess we got to finish what we started, and you're Jason the Intern, finishing out the tough season, the tough 25 season. After that, then we'll go through the graduation process, cap and gown, everything.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good.
All right.
I'm okay with that. I can live with that. One more day. Okay, I understand.
Yeah. No. We've been paying attention, my man. We've been paying attention. The Overhand Right radio show has launched, and you got the Facebook page, and you got some episodes under your belt. So we will definitely get to that. But this is the final day as Jason the Intern, so I think the music's appropriate.
Oh, 100%. I would have to agree after that. I understand. No worries.
All right, homeboy. Let's go back a week. Let's go back a week because we were on vacation and we weren't able to connect, and stuff happened. Stuff went down. You know, we were into the semifinals. Last night was the semifinal that determined the ultimate match of what we're left with. But going back to last week, we had Diego Lima versus Tom Gallicchio. Tell us about that episode.
Yeah, Tom Gallicchio, I mean, if you want to pick one guy that's the ultimate underdog in pretty much every fight he had, that's Tom right there. I didn't really expect him to get past the preliminary round, but he was in the semifinal round against the season 19 runner-up Diego Lima, who lost that season to Eddie Gordon by knockout. So this right here, I mean, I thought Diego was going to win this fight, but I wasn't going to doubt Tom again because he already proved me wrong twice, so I kind of kept my mouth shut. But so we all know Tom's game. His last two fights, he got lit up in the stand-up, and you know what? He kept on moving forward and got the takedown and got 2 rear naked chokes. So to start the fight, when Diego came out, Diego wasn't as pressuring him as much as Tom saw in his last 2 fights. So I thought there, I wanted Diego to step on the gas pedal a little more and get up in Tom's face and be wary of that takedown after he lands a couple big shots. But Diego Lima just was patient, took his time, and you could see there was a clear advantage in the stand-up game. No offense to Tom. He's a great guy on the ground, from a great team over there in the Pacific Northwest with Team Quest. But Diego Lima was just a better striker, and Tom was looking for the takedown, but pretty much it was this semifinal was a 3-round fight instead of the 2 that we saw in the quarterfinals and the preliminary round. But Diego Lima was just a better stand-up guy. And Tom was taking shots and looking to land the takedown, but Diego was just prepared for it. And pretty much the whole round 1, round 2, and round 3 was just Diego being the better striker. And the first round, he kind of started off slow, but the second round, he picked it up. And I kind of felt bad for Tom because he didn't give up, but he was just getting hit with so many big shots at the end of the second or third round. And he was looking for the takedown, but he just couldn't get it. And Diego is moving on to the finale, but that being said, Tom is getting a fight against in the finale, so he does get a chance to redeem himself. We'll explain who that is in a little bit after we recap the second fight. But Diego Lima, he executed his game plan perfectly, And there we go. He's moving on to the finale.
Yep, good stuff there. Tom does have a fight. We'll talk about that in just a second. But I'll tell you what, I really like Tom Galicchio. I'm a fan of Tom Galicchio. Obviously, his skill set is limited, but if there could be one thing, man, if he can just improve his footwork and his head movement a little bit, maybe the timing of his takedowns, because on the ground he's dangerous. And let's not forget, this is a 55er who's fighting at 170 here for this season. So I believe that he gained a lot, he improved a lot, and I'm willing to give him a chance going forward at 55. And let's see what he does in his next 3 to 5 fights. But I really like that dude. He just seems like a good guy, a hard worker. But yeah, he just cannot take that kind of damage just so that he can get close enough to get a takedown. Once he's on the ground with you, he's a beast. But that just seeing him take all that damage, I was like, oh fuck, there's got to be another way. All right, so that was last week's episode, and of course the finale episode. For them being in the house, not the actual tough finale, which is tomorrow night. It featured James Krause versus Jesse Taylor. But before we got to the dance, which would be the fight itself, Krause had to go through some additional testing.
Yeah, that was the power of what they call the devil's juice. A couple of people that weren't fighting but were still in the house, from red team and blue team, were in the hot tub relaxing. This is kind of a vacation for them now. They don't have to fight. Probably got 1 or 2 more days of training, before they have to go back to reality. Maybe they, have a few Budweisers that sit in the hot tub. Well, TJ Dillashaw brought in Tim Elliott because he won season 24 of The Ultimate Fighter. So TJ brought him in, guest coach. Hopefully Elliott can pass on some knowledge. It just so happens that Krause and Tim Elliott are training partners. So they train together, they know each other. What ended up happening was Tim Elliott was at the house, and pretty much a bunch of guys, Sense Berinsky and Julian Lane, had a few too many, and we're just kind of talking crap. So they got into it with Tim Elliott, pushing and shoving. That happened. Tim Elliott walked away, got out of the house, and they showed him talking, saying, they're just mad because they're out of the competition, which could be true, or maybe it was just having a few too many. We've all been there before, probably. And then Seth went up to James Krause and was like, why is your team here? Well, James didn't decide, for Tim Elliott to come. TJ Dillashaw brought him in as a guest coach.
Right.
So he kind of got up in James's face and kind of was like, why is our team here? I don't have my family, friends, and training partners here. But James didn't do any of that, so I don't think really he was thinking straight or really knew what he was saying. And James Krause got a hand in the face because of it. And it's funny because James Krause and Jesse Taylor are fighting. And usually we see guys that are about to fight kind of get into it in the house. But Jesse Taylor actually had to get Seth out of James Krause's face, and they're fighting the next day. So I just thought that was funny. But yeah, James had to deal with a bunch of nonsense before. I mean, he seems like when he's about to fight, he doesn't like to be distracted by anything or be bothered. So that seemed to really piss him off. But moving on to the fight.
Well, hold on. Let me say something here.
Go ahead.
Did you catch the episode?
Last night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you think that was creative of TJ to go, hey, we got a guest fighter, and it just so happens to be someone that's a homie of a finalist? Like, really, he did nothing wrong by saying a guest fighter. However, no disrespect to Elliott, but are those 170 guys going to learn from this 125 guy? Like, does he really have that one particular thing that, oh my God, you all have to learn? It's almost like TJ was sharp about it, and we can't really say anything, but deep down, maybe that was to provide some support, because, all right, let's just say that one way or another they go, he didn't break a rule. He came in there, and maybe he worked on a certain submission hold, and they all learned something, whatever. Does that allow Zach Cummings and Tim Elliott and the other guy, I don't know who the third guy was, to just show up to the house? I mean, that's something that usually the coach does, and maybe he brings a couple of friends. We've seen Misha Tate come along with Cody or whatever, or Uriah Faber come along with Cody, but just those 3 friends were allowed in. That kind of did seem like I could see Baczynski saying that's a concern a little bit because, like, we're all suffering here. You know what I mean? And just that little, I don't know. I mean, that was like a perk, I guess. I don't think it made the difference in the season, but
he was backed into a corner where he had to react with something. I think he went a little too over the top, and then he was already all in, so he had to go all in. But But at the end of the day, you're bringing in a guy who can relate to everybody because he's been there and he won it. So that's what that guy brings to the table for everyone. I mean, that's my experience.
True.
That's what I
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. I thought the visit later on, I wasn't too sure that mattered. And Elliott wound up being a coach of his. You know what I mean? So it would be like JT Money, you know, for Dillashaw to go, guess what? We have Dan Henderson here, you know. And now he's a legend. You can get away with it. And he's going to teach you something about wrestling. And then all of a sudden, TJ goes, well, stick around, Dan. You can coach what's-his-face. I mean, that's kind of getting some additional support that they're not used to getting.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, very interesting episode. Lots of pushing, lots of shoving. Julian Lane and Justin Edwards. Those guys, man, they wanted them out of the house at that moment. Like, leave now.
And Justin, we've seen Justin here in Vegas.
He's as cool as they come.
And they're together at times, right? Tim Elliott and Justin on the same mat. So that's how's that going to play out
I plan on asking those guys, like,
and I believe we've seen them since all this. So I think it probably worked out, or maybe, I don't know. I've seen people in the same gym just avoid each other. Yeah, but that got pretty heated.
It did, man. That was a cool episode. I love that stuff. I love it. Once the guys left, like Jason said, Baczynski and Krause. But before they left, it was Lane, Edwards. Eddie Gordon kind of was, sitting around there too. I don't know if you guys
water
caught that.
Bottles are the new weapons, by the way, in MMA. Have you noticed?
It looked like an empty one, though. Was it a full one?
Yeah,
was it full?
It was pretty full.
Because when he swatted it down, it made the noise of an empty bottle versus I didn't hear more of a full thud, like if it was.
And when you don't see it coming, too, and man, he threw it into a crowd of what? It was 3 guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, unless that's your thing, throwing water bottles, like you could hit the wrong guy. I mean, that was just dumb.
It was, man. But did you hear the part where I think Elliott goes, pick your 3 and we'll go outside?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think he said, I'll take both of you guys.
But then the other 2 said something, and he goes, all right, I'll take both of you on. And it was interesting. It was interesting how all that went down. I can't tell you how much I really, really enjoyed the episode. And
the producers must have been on their toes, right? Because this is great stuff, but at any second, this could turn into
could
something
be wild,
that'd be a nightmare for the show.
Especially with alcohol, yeah. All right, so we know Krause is fighting Jason. We know there's been drama, but at this point, they're all going to bed. And, of course, we get to the fight. Talk about the fight between James Krause and Jesse Taylor.
James Krause, we all know UFC veteran. We all know Jesse Taylor's story. I mean, he does have the biggest redemption story. He was right there. It was in his hand, the finale, and he got kicked out at CB Dollar where he replaced him. So this has been 9 years in the making for Jesse Taylor. And James Krause wants to come back, and he says he owes the Ultimate Fighter something. He didn't win his season he was on, so he wants to get back there and taste victory of what it's like on the Ultimate Fighter. So good fight. I expected James Krause to keep the distance and use his striking. He was I think, the more polished striker and had speed. Jesse Taylor, if you watch this season, you know he's a wrestler, and what is he going to do? He's going to look to take you down. Surprisingly, to start the fight, James Krause went for the takedown, and I wasn't too sure about that right away. I said, well, I thought you were going to win this fight standing up. Why would you kind of want to take it to where Jesse Taylor's comfortable? I didn't really understand that.
Yeah, I feel
but
you
the
there.
one thing I was really impressed with was a lot of times when we see Jesse Taylor fight anybody he has before in this season, they were kind of just in defense mode, looking to survive, just make it out of the round pretty much. And James Krause was actually reversing and getting in Jesse Taylor's guard and actually doing more offense than we seen on the ground in a fight with Jesse Taylor. So he was throwing up his legs, looking for submissions. Actually, at one scramble, got the back of Jesse Taylor and looked to sink in a hook. He didn't get it, but that's really the most trouble we've ever seen Jesse Taylor in. So heading into the second round, I was really like, okay, James Krause, like, you got a game plan here. Like, you can possibly win this fight, which when you get Jesse Taylor on the ground, it's kind of one-sided beatdown. Started off, and pretty much that round was just Jesse Taylor. He got Krause down, and he landed hard shots, and he was beating James Krause up, and that takes a toll. When you got a huge guy like Jesse Taylor that knows how to wrestle, and like we always say, he's an active wrestler. He will make you pay if he is in your guard. If he's on top of you, he's going to make sure he beats the crap out of you, and he did that. He just beat the crap out of James Krause the second round, and I was like, oh, it's not looking so good. Luckily, it's a 3-round fight here in the semifinals, so James Krause does have another chance to possibly win this.
Right.
But what ended up happening is Jesse Taylor got him back to the ground and then ended up sinking in the choke and got the finish. He probably would have won by decision anyways because that was a dominant second and third round.
Right.
But he ended up getting the choke, a little extra pocket money, and Jesse Taylor's moving on to versus Diego Lima. And to be honest, I had Diego Lima, when I looked at the roster to begin this, before we did the whole recap, I thought Diego Lima was going to win the whole season, but now I don't want to go back on my pick, but Jesse Taylor, he looks pretty unstoppable, and his wrestling game is as solid as it comes.
I turned in Diego Lima in the staff picks goes, and if it's not too late, I wouldn't mind switching it to Taylor. Taylor looked good, man.
You know what, dude? There were times
Lima
in
was
that
able to
fight-
stop Galicchio, but when he wasn't, he lit up Galicchio, but Galicchio against a 55er, and I just don't think he's obviously, whether he was a 55 or 70, whatever guy, Taylor's just committed to the wrestling. Yeah. What were you saying?
There were times in that fight where it was actually hard for me to watch some of the shots that James was taking. I mean, he just had to. It almost looked like a car accident victim or something. Like he kind of got up, kind of dazed, and just you would hear him kind of go, oh, after every shot, and you were just like, wow. I was actually thinking the referee maybe should have stopped at some point.
And we went out, and he went out too in the choke. He was out. So Taylor, if I'm not mistaken, has never lost on the reality show. And Diego Lima has won all of his fights with the exception of that finale against Gordon. And how about the fact that Gordon was in the season? And, you know, you have to almost figure that he should have been a finalist, and he went out early on versus Tom Galicchio. So, overall, man, I'm telling you, I'd probably give this season a 9. It's been awesome. I
liked it. Yeah, I think a 9's pretty good. I think I'd give it an 8. Do you think the UFC, though, do you think they care who comes out of the show? Is just the focus of it just the show, and then whatever happens afterwards, they don't really care? Because if you look at the semifinals, you look at a guy like Tom Galicchio, you look at a guy like JT Money. Those are two styles that Dana White doesn't really appreciate, doesn't really like very much. But even if say Lima wins, I don't think that's a guy that Dana is like, yay, we got him, we finally got him, or anything like that, because he already had his run. What do you think they do after this?
Good question. You know,
does it just get buried?
I mean, there's the example of fucking Matt Serra. You know, he still had some good fights afterwards.
Well,
so
he had an immediate one, right?
Right. I'm just wondering if he felt like maybe maybe their goal is, hey, if one or two of these, maybe they don't make it to champ, but they just can be
fillers.
Yeah, headliners or co-headliners, like on Fight Pass or something like that. If they make it to that status, great. But you're right, Goes. I never thought of it that way. Like, what are they looking to get? Because at least with the young guns, it's that prospect. Yeah, but right now, I think this one probably had to do more like, hey, let's get our swagger back. Let's get some ratings. At least these are familiar names. People will cheer for Joe Daddy. People will cheer for Hyder. You know, Julian Lane. Let's bang, bro. I mean, maybe that was their angle. Who knows? But the fight goes down with Diego Lima and Jesse Taylor. But you announced, Jason, earlier, and you teased it perfectly. Galicchio does have a fight left. Who's he got?
He's got James Krause, so the two semifinalists are going at it for a shot on the Ultimate Fighter season finale there on Friday. And I really like that fight. Don't forget, the whole series was filmed a while back. So we don't know if Tom Galicchio went back and said, hey, look, like, I'm getting lit up, but my ground game is so good. If I tweak this 1 point and my stand-up and my footwork, like you mentioned, G, then maybe he's tweaked all that, and we might see a whole different Tom Galicchio. Now, James Krause, I'm happy he got the time off and it was filmed a while back, because his last two fights he took a lot of damage, like Goes was saying. But this fight, I mean, Tom Galicchio, he gets a chance against a guy in the UFC. Let's not forget James Krause is part of the UFC roster. So Tom Galicchio, big step up here. He didn't make it to the finale, but I feel like if Tom went back and tweaked his stand-up and made an improvement on this, we can see a whole nother Tom Galicchio, and he might shock us all.
And this fight goes down at 70, not at 55, because Krause, it was a UFC lightweight before he went on this reality show, so he could have easily gone back, but they decided to stick with the theme of welterweight. If I was Galicchio, I would have tried and said, can we catch weight at 60 or 50 or 65? Just anything to get it back in his...
I think maybe he could have won that argument,
in his bulk, in his court, but it's not going to work out, and it doesn't appear that any other fighters from the season will be featured tomorrow night other than the four we mentioned, the two finalists, Taylor and Lima, and then the the two finalists on the reality show that lost their fight, Kraus versus Colicchio. There's just no other names. Now, that doesn't mean that they're done. They could be featured on some other cards going forward, but I was hoping to see at least a couple other names on there because I thought, I mean, Gilbert Smith retired, but I thought Ramsey entertained and deserved, and you know, maybe one of the other guys could have gotten a second, third chance. I've been saying Gordon a lot, so I better stop. People think I'm hanging on his nuts, but I think he's a pretty solid fighter, you know, at least worth a shot, but it didn't work out that way. All right, well, Jason, we know that you've released your podcast. Tell us when it drops so that we can start following and liking and catching your show, Overhand Right Radio.
Yeah, I got the Facebook page all set up. I got the Twitter and the SoundCloud, so it's Overhand Right Radio. You'll be able to tell because it's a little cartoon sketch of me. I'm looking all beautiful on it, and I'm punching someone with the microphone. Overhand Right, of course, is the punch I'm throwing. But yeah, please go ahead and like it on Facebook, Overhand Right Radio. I just released a 213 preview, and I actually got a good friend of Junkie Radio, Dan Tom, on there, and we talked a little bit of 213. So it's good. I dropped 3 episodes so far. I'm getting it on the works. So I can't wait to see how we can get some more people on there and make it a great thing, and love talking MMA. So I'm excited to keep on putting out episodes in the future.
Thanks, Jason, for joining us here on MMAjunkie Radio. Great job this year with the Tough Recap, and we'll definitely keep in touch. All right, bro?
Sounds good. Enjoy the fight, guys. Take care.
Right, you too. We'll see you. All right, folks, we're going to take our last break. We'll be back to clean up shop. I'll tell you who's going to be on tomorrow's show. It's MMAjunkie Radio on Sirius XM, Russian 83.
See. Up, up, down, down, left, right, B-A, start. You told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here are George and Goes.
We are out of here, folks. Want to thank Valentina Shevchenko, Dawn Frye, Sean Lennon, Dave Madden, and Jason Buckamer for appearing on today's MMA Junkie Radio show. Shout out to Danny and Goes, of course. joining me every day at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And we're not done yet. We got one more show to go. Tomorrow we'll be joined by Gray Maynard and Brad Tavares. Now, both of them fight on the Tough 25 finale card. So what they want to do is soak up some of that junkie karma. They'll be calling in on the day of they fight. We might have a special co-host for the day as well, and maybe a couple more surprises. So definitely tune in. Don't forget that we're on SoundCloud and iTunes, YouTube, Facebook. There's really no excuse not to catch us. And don't forget about that SiriusXM app. It's tight. It's legit. It's commercial free. You'll love it. We're out of here, folks. Go out there and be champions.
Oh, there's blackjack and poker and the roulette wheel. A fortune won and lost on every deal. All you need is